Book of the Day, Quiet, Susan Cain. The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. Essence of the book Quiet is a book about temperament, energy, identity, and the hidden power of a more reflective way of being. Susan Cain challenges a very common cultural assumption. Open quote, "We often confuse value with extroversion." Close quote. Modern culture tends to reward people who speak more, appear more confident, take up space quickly, sell themselves well, and make an immediate impression. But this book shows that there is another kind of strength: deep observation, careful listening, sensitivity to the environment, thoughtful decision making, concentration, creativity in solitude, emotional awareness, quiet leadership. The central idea is, open quote, "Not all power is loud." Close quote. Cain does not argue that introverts are better than extroverts. She argues that the world needs both, and that quiet strength has been underestimated for too long. The big idea. Many people spend their lives trying to appear more outgoing, socially bold, or expressive than they naturally are because they believe this is the only way to be taken seriously. This can create a subtle loss of authenticity. People may start wondering, should I speak more? Do I seem weak if I stay quiet? Do I need to be more charismatic? Is my natural way of being not enough? The book offers a different perspective. Open quote. Maybe quietness is not a weakness. Maybe it is a different kind of presence. Close quote. Presence is not the same as volume. Presence is impact. The culture of personality. One of the most interesting parts of the book is Cain's discussion of the shift from a culture of character to a culture of personality. In earlier periods, people were often valued for qualities such as integrity, discipline, responsibility, depth, honor, moral strength. Over time, especially with the rise of business culture, salesmanship, public image, and self promotion, society began to value traits such as charisma, confidence, sociability, magnetism, visibility, quick verbal expression. In other words, attention moved from who a person is internally to how a person appears externally. This shift is still very present today. In social media, workplaces, leadership spaces, and relationships, it can often feel as if the person who is most visible is the person who matters most. The book questions that belief. Introversion is not shyness. A key distinction in the book is that introversion is not the same as shyness. Shyness is related to fear of social judgment. Introversion is related to how a person processes energy and stimulation. An introvert can be confident, expressive, and socially capable, but may feel drained by too much stimulation or prolonged social interaction. A shy person may want to interact but feel anxious or afraid. So introversion is not a social defect, it is a temperament. Introverts often recharge through silence, solitude, deep focus, or meaningful one-on-one interactions. The power of observation. Quiet people often observe before acting. They may notice emotional shifts, subtle details, inconsistencies, patterns, risks, possibilities, unspoken dynamics. This kind of perception is valuable, but it is not always rewarded immediately. The world often rewards fast answers, but fast answers are not always wise answers. Cain shows that thinking before speaking is not weakness, it can be intelligence. Creativity and solitude. The book also explores the connection between solitude and creativity. Many forms of deep creative work require time alone. Not loneliness, but solitude, a space where the mind can connect with itself. Creativity often needs silence, inner space focus, freedom from constant interruption, time to associate ideas, time to develop thoughts before presenting them. Not every good idea is born in a group. Many ideas are born when no one is watching. The problem with too much collaboration. Cain does not reject collaboration, but she questions the belief that all thinking must happen in groups, meetings, brainstorming sessions, or constant discussion. For some people, especially introverts, ideas become stronger after private reflection. Some people do not think best while speaking. They speak best after thinking. This is important in workplaces, schools, creative environments, and leadership settings. A culture that only rewards immediate verbal expression may miss the depth of more reflective minds. Sensitivity as strength. The book also highlights the value of sensitivity. Some people are more sensitive to stimulation, noise, light, emotional tension, social pressure, competition, constant interaction, intense environments. This sensitivity can be tiring in overstimulating spaces, but it can also create strengths such as empathy, aesthetic awareness, emotional intelligence, attention to detail, imagination, careful decision makings. Sensitivity is not the problem. The problem is often an environment that does not know how to value it. Quiet leadership. Quiet also challenges the stereotype of the loud, dominant leader. Kane explains that quieter leaders can be highly effective, especially when they work with proactive, creative, or independent people. Quiet leaders often listen more deeply, interrupt, less value others' ideas, observe before deciding, create psychological safety, lead with presence rather than force. Leadership is not always about commanding attention. Sometimes leadership is about creating the conditions where the best ideas can emerge. What the book really teaches. Quiet teaches that there is not only one valid way to be strong. Strength can be calm, precise, thoughtful, observant, sensitive, consistent, deeply focused, emotionally aware. The book also shows that living against one's temperament for too long can be exhausting. The goal is not to hide from the world. The goal is to find a way to participate without betraying one's nature. A person can develop communication, leadership, and presence without becoming someone they are not. Core summary. Not all power needs a stage. Not all presence needs noise. Thinking before speaking can be strength. Solitude can feed creativity. Sensitivity can become intelligence. Authenticity begins when people stop measuring their worth by the volume of their voice. Curiosity of the day. There is a concept called sensory processing sensitivity. Some people process external and emotional stimuli more deeply. They may notice sounds, lights, expressions, moods, details, and subtle changes more intensely. This can make overstimulating environments tiring, but it can also support creativity, empathy, aesthetic sensitivity, emotional awareness, attention to detail. What looks like too sensitive in one environment may become a powerful strength in another. Context. Context matters. Instead of asking, open quote, how can I become louder, close quote, a better question may be, open quote, how can I express myself more clearly while remaining authentic? Close quote. The goal is not to imitate a more extroverted style. The goal is to develop presence in a way that respects natural energy, depth, and temperament. A useful reflection. Open quote, I do not need to become louder to become stronger. I need to become clearer about who I am. Close quote. Closing thought. Quiet is a valuable book because it gives dignity to quieter ways of existing. It reminds us that depth is presence, listening is intelligence, observation is power. The question this book leaves us with is, open quote, where are we trying to increase the volume when perhaps we only need to trust our own frequency more? Close quote. And